What's your never again story? Status: locked as this thread has run its course and most of the new comments have been rule breaking. Please report any rule breaking comments for review. Never again will I agree to additional roles with the promise of a salary increase without getting it in writing. Doubled my workload, didn't get paid a dime. Take a laxative without drinking a bunch of water. I thought I was going to die. I love how almost all of these are dating/sex stories, and I was just going to say staying up all night cramming for a test. Slept right through my alarm, missed the test. Staying at a job for 18 years because I kept thinking it would get better eventually. I finally realized I was in an emotionally abusive relationship with my former employer. It wasn't me, it was them. I moved on and am finally actively appreciated for my contributions. I'll never beg anyone to stay ever again. If you don't want to be in my life, I don't want you here. I baked a keto cake yesterday. Tasted the same like I imagine the smell of burnt tires. Never gonna read into someone's behavior to try to find a silver lining. People show who they are by what they do. It's really that simple. Google my symptoms. Diagnosed myself with stage 4 lung cancer. Decided to die quietly at home. Eventually got dragged to an actual doctor, had embolisms in my heart and lungs. Lucky to survive that particular bout of idiocy. Will never again accept someone's excuse for cheating. I'm monogamous, and if you can't be, boy, bye. Letting a guy pick me up for a first date. It forces you to stay even if you're uncomfortable, and lets the guy know where you live, which is a disadvantage if the date doesn't go well. I let a guy pick me up last month, something I never do, because my car wouldn't start and I wish I hadn't. I have a first date tomorrow and was going back and forth about whether or not I'll ask to meet him there. He seems like a sweetheart and really wants to go all out on being a gentleman, but I think I'll meet him there anyway. I think he's a good guy, but I should practice safe habits anyway. Needed this post. Never begging for someone's love who puts zero effort into the relationship. Fuck, I just learned this lesson. My ex put zero time and effort into seeing me and we fucking lived together. It got to the point where I cried in my car every night because I felt so lonely. Kinda the same. Learned this hard lesson last year. I have spent way too many hours crying for that man. Accept a pity date from someone I know I have zero interest in. It was awkward as fuck from start to finish and ended with him groping me. I recently told this story, but it's the one and only thing I can really think of: popsicles. I had to take a type of chemo, adriamycin, which required me to keep my mouth cold for the 7 to 8 minutes it took to administer. I never got the stereotypical sick that I expected, but I couldn't stomach to see a popsicle after the second round. I stuck with plain ice after that. I'll never have another one again. Someone who repeats my own thoughts and jokes back to me as if they are their own original thoughts and jokes. It's even worse if someone retells your joke to everyone else in the room. Ha 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 ha, Bobannon just said. And then they fuck up the delivery so badly it's no longer funny and everyone else is wondering why you said something so lame. Cold night, lamppost, tongue. Giving birth. I love my daughter, but not doing it again. Ever, not for anything. I spent 3 weeks before in the hospital, got poked with so many needles that I lost count, and she spent 3 weeks in NICU after. My epidural failed and I wasn't allowed to have pain meds. I still have nightmares about it. And people still ask me when I'm having the next baby. Upside down face. Walking my cat on a leash in the backyard. She made this unearthly yowling noise while running in circles at the very end of the leash. Then she latched onto a chain link fence and tried to climb into the neighbor's yard. When I pulled her off of that, she latched onto my shoulder. At some point, possibly when I was pulling her off the fence, her little claw started bleeding, so there's blood on my shirt from her and I'm bleeding from her scratches, and my boyfriend had to come save me. She's so energetic and I thought she would love to have a little romp outside. I came in and cried because she got hurt. Never again. She is an indoor BB. Get back together with a cheater who was manipulative and didn't know what he wanted. Vodka hole on antibiotics at an outdoor concert in June. Vodka on antibiotics in general. You know, actually, just vodka. Stay after the first issue with loyalty, not necessarily cheating but just disrespecting you in general around other girls, lying, flirting, etc. Even if you forgive him, it sets a foundation of distrust in the relationship that will only deteriorate over time, or even worse, create resentment. Then you're 4 years in wondering why the hell that one thing from 4 years ago bothered you and you just can't let it go. Leave after the first lie. I heard it somewhere. It's true, ladies. This is not about men. I'm lucky enough to have an awesome hubby. I will never let my work make me feel guilty about being ill again. Don't have cover for me? Not my problem. I like my job fine, but to ask us to come in whilst unwell then make us feel bad if we don't is just not right. My boss is European, and she once said to me that she didn't understand why North Americans come to work sick so often, and I had to bite my tongue so hard to not point out we only have 5 sick days and she has the power to change that. Great bosses and workplace otherwise, tons of other benefits. But I was so taken aback when she said that to me. Tell her I'm never getting pregnant and giving birth again. Most painful 9+ months of my life. I will say giving birth was the easiest part. Pregnancy was 100x harder. I'm honestly terrified of having kids. Everyone make it seems like it's a dream, but reading stories on here tell me otherwise. Embarrassed smiley face. Same. I was in nursing school, took one look of a woman's vulva being ripped apart, and I noped out of there. And that's not even the most painful part. Extremely child-free now. Persuading myself my gut instinct was wrong about somebody. Sorry to say I did that more than once. I feel like they are all self-explanatory, so let's just list them off. Never dating someone who's extremely prone to jealousy again. They stop at nothing to guilt trip you. Read. Gaslighting. Emotional abuse. Never dating someone who literally lives in their parents' basement again. What was I thinking? In trying to prove I wasn't shallow, I proved I was an idiot. He was 30 BTW. Never dating someone with a tragic one that got away story again. Will not waste my time being constantly compared to someone else ever again. Never dating someone who mentions at every opportunity that they were raised by women, raised to respect women, etc. ever again. I learned the hard way that saying that shit more than once is a nice guy TM specialty. None of these are even the same person. If I didn't feel like it was my life goal to find my person, I would have given up by now. Edit. ITT. Hashtag nodal basemond dwellers and hashtag nodal women raise the amount of people offended by my personal choices as if it affects them is irritating. I'm turning off inbox replies now. I don't care to defend my experiences anymore. If you're personally bothered by number 2 or number 4, guess what? We, or me plus your brother, so, husband, father, other miscellaneous man in your life, are not a match. Crazy how that works. Here's a meme for you to enjoy while you're subscribing to our channel. We'll have new videos for you every day, so stay tuned. My ex was fucking insane. He'd get mad at me for not being in the mood to have sex and then try to guilt trip me into it. He didn't let me drink when I was out with my friends BC. His mother was an alcoholic. He didn't let me go out my friends on weekends BC. He wanted me to stay in with him, even if he had no plans for us. If I went anywhere I had to tell him where I was, who I was going with, and when I'd get back. Yet he was allowed to go out and get high with his high school dropout friends. Sometimes he wouldn't come home for 2 days straight, and to top it all off, 99% of the time he didn't even bother telling me where he was, and when I pointed out the hypocrisy, he'd call me a crazy bitch. He'd get mad at me over every little thing. He was by far the most overly sensitive person I have ever met, and it was so annoying having to console him and apologize for shit I didn't even do just so he'd stop being mad. I put up with this absolute bullshit for almost 2 full years. Broke up with him the month before our 2nd anniversary, and he was literally begging me to take him back, promising he'd change, and me being the idiot I was, did. 1.5 weeks went by, nothing changed, and I dumped him again. He cried to me for hours while I was breaking up him. I have not shed a single tear over that monster. Fuck him. I will never date a horribly controlling and forceful guy ever again. Never hold on to a relationship that isn't working, and definitely don't stay because the person you're with can't financially take care of himself on his own. Cut your losses early, ladies, and don't invest 5 years of your life in a man who isn't the one. Not man related. Hiking into the Grand Canyon from the rim. We got halfway down before it started to get dark and we had to go back up. The temperature dropped 20 degrees, but it was amazing. There are seashells embedded in the rock walls, think about that, and getting out of the way for passing mules was neat. But I wanted to die for a solid 24 hours after. My knees were both shot, my ankles swollen, my leg muscles useless, and it was the hardest physical feat I'd been through before or since. Glad I did it. Never again. Had a 3-way with a guy I was seeing in college and some random girl. I was a little tipsy, but the two of them were very, very drunk. She kept trying to stick toys in me which I didn't want. They were her toys, kind of gross. He bit my nipple so hard it was bleeding. I had no fun at all. I still have a tiny scar where the bite was. I broke up with him shortly after too. Don't think I would ever do it again. Never ever waiting out tooth pain / dental work. I ignored fillings for a while. Was have minor sensitivity one day and 24 hours later it ballooned into a golf ball sized infection where I couldn't talk because I was in so much constant pain. Tooth pain is serious. Going on a date and hooking up with someone from Tinder just to get my mind off of someone else. Didn't work. Never will I have sex when I don't want it. It's so fucking shitty and traumatic. Fuck. Get married to someone whom I have deep feelings for despite having red flags practically slap me in the face at every turn. I will never try to be friends with an ex simply because we have history after years together. It ended with him being jealous because I moved on and spreading nasty malicious lies about me to our friends. Thankfully our friends aren't idiots and know me, so none of his lies got spread around very well. The last time I saw him I didn't even notice him until my sisters pointed him out. Captain Morgan, the Dark One, plus Coca-Cola equals Captain Coke. I rarely get hangovers and that was one of the few things that did. It gave me the worst hangover of my life and the sad part is I actually like the mix a lot. My poor BF took care of me. From what I understand, the sugar in mixed drinks can exacerbate a hangover quite a bit. Be safe. I kinda knew these two homeless dudes and invited them to stay with me for a little while. They ended up stealing a ton of my stuff that had a lot of sentimental value and some other expensive hard to replace things. Now I'll never invite anyone to live with me just because I'm afraid of losing my stuff. I will never beg anyone to stay again. If they don't want to be there, then fine. I'll make sure to keep my dignity and self-respect intact. Go to social events I don't want to go to. It's one thing if it's for work or a wedding, but if people can survive without me, I'm not doing it. I just decided I was adult and I didn't have to go places or do things that make me uncomfortable if I'm not getting anything out of it. One night stand. I've done it a few times and I'm not ashamed or anything like that. It's just bad every time. Like the guy doesn't care about making me feel good or anything. It's like they're using my vagina as a masturbation tool. The last time I'm pretty sure the only part of my body he touched was the inside of my vagina. Like not even any nipple or clit action. Over it. Sleep with multiple coworkers/supervisors within the same job, only 3. We all know for the most part, humans can't keep their mouths shut, so once it got out I slept with X, Y and Z at my job I had throughout college. I was gossiped about so much and called the UPS slut behind closed doors. To make matters slightly worse, the men I slept with were all supervisors, so you know they thought I only did it to advance in the job. My good friend who worked with me, didn't sleep with him haha. Showed me a group chat with the guys in our work section and showed all the hateful things said about me and one coworker even threatened to rape me if he made a move on me and I rejected him. I didn't quit. But after my friend showed me those messages, I stopped talking to virtually everyone at my job except him and I cut ties with the 3 I had relations with. I had to move my work area and everything. Let this be a lesson, don't sleep with people at your job, unless you are dating them, even if it is just a one-night thing. 2 of them were a one-time thing. But one it was a mutual FWB. I am responsible for my actions and I'm not playing the victim at all. I was mostly disappointed at my one coworkers who said he'd rape me if I reject his advances. Also, I did report him and he got fired. I am so glad you reported him. Who knows what that guy has/will done with a disgusting attitude like that. Wait in a line for an hour and a half during a bar crawl to only get 2 drinks before they have last call. During my freshman year in college, one of my good friends, who was deep in the friend zone, told me he liked me and then asked if he could kiss me. I felt put on the spot, so I just let him do it because I felt bad and I was too much of a wuss to say no. Never, ever, again. Noting the signs of narcissism and ignoring them by counting on their better nature. Again and again. I'm done being a sap.